Hey, coming at you from a makeshift bathtub in my living room because my new cheap water heater lasted about 2 years, and now it goes from scalding hot to freezing cold no matter what you set it at, or how you manipulate the dials. Like, you just set it on the right temperature and yank that hot way open, and you will get freezing cold alternating with scalding hot. And you shower in the lukewarm moments between. Bath? No, it will stop producing hot water if you try to fill the bathtub. Seriously, just cold. You'll just get cold. It's like the thing has artificial intelligence, and the intention is to prevent you from getting clean. So, don't worry, I don't have breasts, so there's no breasts being hidden. Anyway, I still got what they call dog ears. The revision surgery got put off, so it looks like I have breasts. Anyway, I don't care. I have to get used to, men walk around with their shirts off. I want to get used to that. So, and I don't want to forget this rant. All right, so I'm a person who feels unvalued. I wouldn't say it's because people this or people that. I would say it's because they appear to have simply no use for me in my life. In every instance where I have tried to be part of a group and contribute, I have been variously, politely or rudely, removed from the group. There's been a whole bunch of ways that it's a heartbreaking rendition of the different ways that people can remove someone from their group. You're right. This guy would be visible if I moved him. And you'd be able to enjoy seeing him. You're right next to the parrot, as a matter of fact. He's like beside you by about 6 inches, so there, and you can see the little dude. The other one's behind the arm of the couch. So we're all hanging out while I rub-a-dub-dub in the tub and think about things. And I was thinking about my, why am I here? I was thinking about how easy it is for me to adjust as things change. And how, even though no one ever, specifically, I'll get back to the thought. I was thinking about the people I've seen on television and the internet lately who are letting themselves go, so to speak. And, they're talking about how they're starting to feel ashamed of themselves. They're starting to get smelly, and they're starting smelly. And they're not washing and combing their hair anymore. And without a stylist, they don't know how to brush their own hair. They don't know what to do with it. And mine's already washed, by the way. I washed it in the kitchen sink. It's easier. And, so there's this whole thing happening where perfectly ordinary people are losing the ability to take care of themselves because they're used to paying someone else to do so many of those functions. And because no one's going to see them, so they don't see the value of the activity. No one's coming over and I don't go out, so why should I put on nice clothes? And this is something that I have been living with for many years. I don't go anywhere. I don't go out. I go to the grocery store. Before I got cancer, I used to occasionally go to the movies. And when I was young, I used to go out to the bar and try to make friends. And I used to go to classes to try to make friends. I used to go to volunteer groups to try to make friends, hobby groups to try to make friends. So, and of course, I was still trying to find work. So I was constantly going to a new job. So back when I was young, there was a lot of motivation to get dressed up, and I frankly resented it. I utterly resented it because all of the clothes that were approved for dress up, that were available to me at my terrible budget level. I mean, for me, $20 for a pair of jeans was too rich. Still is. And jeans you had to wear boutique stuff. I mean, I was female. I had to wear pointy shoes with heels and frickin' nylon stockings. No, leotards were not acceptable. I had to wear nylon flippin' stockings. The most worthless garment anyone ever produced. Its sole function is to be able to get around a law about you have to cover your legs with something while still looking like you have naked legs. They feel naked too. Like the R value of stockings is negligible. And I utterly resented that. I had to wear skirts because I couldn't afford nice slack suits. And all I had was these hand-me-down dresses from my mother. Well, anyway, I'm well off the track. The point being that I've never felt like I have value. And yet when I have my conversations with my God, the way we do, some people call it prayer. Some people call it talking to the voices in your head. And somewhere in between, there's a spirituality, and that's where I fall. And I'm comfortable with thinking that I talk to God and God talks back, just by the way. And I'm not willing to listen to comments about my sanity. Because, the Pope isn't crazy. Apparently the Pope's the only person who's allowed. Well, nobody told God that. God talks to lots of us. Probably talking to you, and you're not listening because you're afraid of looking crazy. Okay? I think God is there in whatever face, form, gender, or shape you need God to be, whatever race you need God to be. There is a voice there that you can access. Personally, I don't think that God is a person. I think that God is a collective archive of all living things, rather like a giant Google with mandatory uploads. Everything gets up. You want to talk about getting spied on. God is spying. No, God has access. You are part of God. And so when I talk to God, I'm really just talking to inner wisdom. So there's nothing crazy about it. But the way that my brain does it is very easy to do for me. It comes out as language. Didn't used to. When I was a child, it did. And then when I was a kid and a teenager, it didn't anymore. It was hard. It was an instinctive voice I had to look for. Oh goodness, I just noticed that my parrot damaged a pretty tablecloth from being parked too close to it. It's right above the camera. Okay, I notice, these days it's in voice form again because I've trained myself to hear it again. And the voice keeps telling me that I am important. The number one thing it tells me that I have is wisdom. Okay, sure. I can accept that idea. I do believe that I have above average wisdom. And I have been told by other people that I'm wise, and they have appreciated my wisdom. And, I'm happy to share my wisdom freely. I feel like that's what I'm doing with these rants, that I'm sharing my wisdom freely to anyone who wants it, anyone who can use it. That the wisdom that I have is the only gift that my difficult life has given me that I value, that could be of value. There's a whole lot of stuff I do that anyone can do, and I don't do any of it better than anyone else. I'm not best at anything, except maybe getting to the meat of a problem and coming up with the truth behind it, and the desire and the need, and seeing the path that should be found in it. And that's what wisdom is. You tell me a problem, I tell you both sides of it in a way that you can understand from your point of view. I give you some empathy for your other side and help you understand how to please the other side so that they will please you. Because consensus isn't about everybody finally compromising. That's what they're trying to teach us. On account of the people who are trying to teach us are the people who are trying to control us. And they don't want us to understand that consensus isn't about compromise at all. There is compromises being made, but the compromises are being made willingly from the heart. They're not being made grudgingly. Because when you reach consensus, everybody who's made compromises feels good about the choices they made. They feel like they did the right thing. So when I give people wisdom, these are the directions I try to steer them. What exactly is it your opponent is up to? Now, if opponent is a narcissist who really is just trying to abuse someone, I'll go there. But if opponent is somebody who is struggling and behaving ignorantly, we go there. So that's wisdom. And I scoffed when I heard this. And I says, yeah, okay, sure, I've got wisdom. But tell me, What use is wisdom if I'm all alone? There's hardly anybody ever listens to me. I have no reach. And that was when the thing that made me make this rant came to mind. This pandemic we're going through demonstrates the value of one individual. So potently, I just about wept when I understood this. And then I tell one person, and then they tell two people, and then they tell two people. Each time I enrich one person with wisdom, they're free now for the rest of their lives to enrich others with wisdom. As fast as a virus can spread, so can the value of my gift spread. Even if I am perhaps protected from excess socializing. There is no question in my mind that I'm happiest when I'm alone. But I still get urges and needs to reach out, which is perhaps God driving me to share my wisdom. Without it, perhaps I really would be utterly worthless. I would just hide in my room, quietly doing my crafts, and forgetting that I have to share them with anyone or that anyone else would care, and just enjoying the beauty of them myself, and just like a baby, giggling over my art. Because I've been there and I can do that. That's a place I go. I'm miserable when I'm interacting with people because telling my story causes me misery. Because recognizing that I have this story, remembering that it's there, is not something I've resolved yet. Wash my face. I've had a really peculiar story. Enough privilege to ensure very little sympathy, and yet sufficient hardship to feel and sound absolutely pathetic. And it's a weird, weird place to be in. But I see why it gives me my unique grasp of wisdom, because I know what the lucky people think. And I know what the unlucky people feel. And I understand so much better what drives both sides. So whichever side is the one causing the problem, it's easy for me to understand what they're after and help the side I'm talking to, whatever side they're on, find their consensus and their solution. And they'll tell two friends. Along this vein, I'm watching The View. I've been watching The View, not regularly, but it's what's on the television from 10 to 11. At 11, I turn the TV off because the next hour is intolerable. It's a show I simply don't like. It's all about telling women how to look better, telling people how to make their homes look better, showing people how to spend money they haven't got, and making the rest of us feel insufficient. In the most polite, pleasant, and cheerful way you could possibly do it. And I utterly loathe it. It's everything I loathe about our current culture. But so The View is not everything I loathe about our current culture, and it's an interesting peek into American politics and mindsets. I can't watch it if Mister's home because he won't shut up during it. He will try to overwhelm it with his version of the news because he sees it as insidious evil that these people are saying the things that they're saying on The View, and that the women specifically are insidiously evil. Did I mention he's a misogynist? He doesn't know it himself. He thinks he's right and true and correct. And again, it gives me perspective on other people. To be around people that I would not choose to be around if I had known who I was going to be around when I first started all this. This is not the man I married. This is Alex Jones's minion now. And I'm just not in it. All I can do is make him shut up when I'm watching the news or watch it somewhere else. Anyway, the wisdom part. Yeah, the View. Over the years, I've watched young Republican women come on there, bound, determined to get their point of view expressed on The View, because The View tends to be highly, highly left-wing. And in my opinion, that's because The View sources intelligent people, compassionate, empathic, intelligent people. And I don't know what the Republican Party ever was. I think that's where the intelligent people used to go. And I think that the Democrat Party used to be where the rich control freaks used to go. And I think the rich control freaks realized that the people were onto them, and have now, using Republican rhetoric, have managed to take over the Republican Party and are now right-wing. The Republican is now right-wing. I think it was left when it first started, and now it's right, extremely right. And I don't think anyone would argue on that point. So I would say that the power mongers have taken over the Republican Party now, and that means that all of the intelligent, compassionate, empathic people who know better, the ones who are capable of understanding what a ridiculous behavior that is, have all shifted on into the Democrat Party. And so The View, being full of compassionate, intelligent people, inevitably winds up seeing the Democratic side as being more compassionate, and wise, and intelligent. You Republicans who don't agree with me, just turn it off. I'm not going to listen to you. Trust me on that. Oh, I know you're going to put a comment stream this long, and I'm going to delete it, see? So just, I know. I'm going to lose the views. That sucks. I really ought to play with you trolls, but it's not my nature. I don't put up with BS, you know? And I don't want you spreading your fake news. And I don't want you spreading your points of view all over mine, because that shuts me up. See, and that's the thing. When you go out there and you start shouting your point of view on somebody else's platform, time, dime, or into their ears, especially if they're currently listening to something else, you are trying to hijack the conversation. You're the one in the wrong. You're erasing someone else's right to free speech by overwhelming them with your noise. Okay, back to The View. Time and time again, these young Republican women, they sit with The View for 5-6 years, and their views moderate dramatically. And they don't stop being Republican, but they disagree with all of their leaders in the Republican Party after a while. There are still a few that they can still hold to, because let's face it, not everybody's bad. Not every group is full of only bad people. There are good people everywhere. And so, these young women who become practically Democrat by the time they leave The View, they will inevitably find a moderate line inside that party. And it's been interesting to watch Meghan McCain's progress, because nobody's got more at stake in remaining Republican than Meghan McCain. Her entire world is Republican. It is a point of pride. It is a point of identity. And it is an important key to inclusion. She's not allowed to remain both in the community and not a Republican. She's not allowed to remain in the community if she gives up her political point of view. This, by the way, is the value of anonymous balloting, because if she actually inside her head feels differently, she can quietly, secretly vote differently, and nobody will ever know. And she can be much more careful about the things that she says, so that she's no longer espousing the negative sides. My bird is bobbing his head in agreement. No longer espousing the negative sides of the party that she has learned is not cool. Like, we don't give a damn about poor people part. Hey, bud. See, poor people aren't some weird animal that we have to put up with because there's rules. Poor people are just humans that have been stepped on by other humans. And you can go there from pretty much any walk of life if things just work out that way. Just like you can get rich from pretty much any walk of life if things work out that way. And you can't blame people for it. I guarantee you won't. I don't know. Someday, perhaps my memoirs will be written and you'll all see none of this was my fault. It's my problem. Definitely. It's my responsibility to solve it. Obviously. I'm incapable of solving it. That's also obvious. I'm doing my best, though. You know, house is clean. My body's clean. I look after myself. I learn. I live. I craft. I find joy. But I will never thrive. And that's because I've been stepped on. A lot. My people who just wanted to make sure I couldn't thrive. I'm still trying to understand why anyone would care. That part's still got me confused. Why do people not want me to thrive? At any rate, you know what you can do to help me thrive? I kid you not. You can promote my videos. If I'm going to get out on the road, I'm going to need an income stream. Another thing you can do to help me thrive, you can commission a work of art. Again, Birdie's bobbing his head. You don't have to do any of that if you just click the like button. Okay, I gotta get going. Things are changing and I'm drying out and my water's getting cool and I still have to give myself a good scrub to get all the dead skin off. By the way, I'll show you. Quick little beauty tip. Beauty, I don't know. But people say I don't look 56, so maybe it is. I use this to exfoliate. I don't use soap. I just soak real good and scrape like that. And there's just this thin gloss of dead skin and dirt that I can then rinse off into the water. I'm not going to show you. It's gross. It's not very big. Not very much, but it's enough. And I just get this fabulous sensation of a scratch. It reduces pimples, gets me clean with very little soap, doesn't dry out my skin, and the knife is not sharp. Although there's a point of dullness where it stops working. You've got to find that magic place. On my face, I like to use razor sharp knives. It's very much like shaving, which I've started to do now because you can't see it. But I've got very fine, pale beard now. Very peach fuzzy. But it's enough to need, you know, and some stray scraggles. It's enough to need shaving. And then, of course, I got to shave that. So then, anyways, I use a sharp blade to clean my skin. I just pass it carefully over it. It does not slice you. If you're using a utility blade, you need to dull the corners. The corners, the points, is where you'll get cut, but not on the flat. Not if you're doing it like a straight razor shave job. So there you go. That's what I'm off to do, is scrape all my body down. Hope you're not too grossed out by this one. Can I just get some... Can I just get a little credit for not uploading the one about race? Yeah, I actually deleted that rant. I thought it was really nice. I was telling black people they were beautiful, but I didn't upload it anyway. Ignorant white. Keep your mouth shut.